Hey everybody, here to paint our sweet summertime lemonade tier tray kit. And the first thing I wanted to say is that you all had super glue in your kit. It's for just in case. You shouldn't need it. Everything is going to have the adhesive backing. Some of your pieces you'll peel the actual adhesive backing off, and some of them are on the so if you see this 3M label, you're gonna peel that off to stick it, and then some of them have the normal paper backing or silicone paper backing. So super glue, just in case you need it, just in case you want to change something up, or if you have an oopsie with maybe some of the letters and need to fix them back together, that's what that's for. So I think that would be the first question that I would get, so I wanted to address that right off the bat. The other thing before you start is you're going to want to take this tie off. I was just demonstrating where it's going to go, and you can either tie your twine around the handle here, or you can put it around the top like that, how you received it in your kit. So hopefully that clears up any questions that you had right off the bat. And going forward, I'm going to start with painting our white items. If you kind of paid attention to how your items were stacked, for example, when I paint this white, I'm probably not going to paint the whole thing fully white because this is going to go on top of it. So it's going to cover a lot. So the main areas that you want to make sure you get really good are the outside and then kind of where that ice is. So let's go ahead and get started. One thing I do like to mention, I'll just go over some quick little the best practices for painting with these supplies that you're sent. So your little paint packets, especially if you're going to sit down and paint in multiple sessions, just snip like a tiny tip off of your pouch. You can save these for quite a while. This tip right here is going to dry up and it basically seals it back together. So when you go to open these, don't tear across this whole thing unless you're planning on finishing it all in one sitting and want to toss it after that. If you want to save any, just do a tiny little snip. I suggest a tiny little snip anyway because it's easier to control how much comes out. But that's just me. Okay, so I'm starting with white, and as you can see, hopefully maybe kind of, I have these all set out in piles of what color I'm going to paint them. So everything that I'm doing white is stuck together, and I'm going to try to do all of my white at the same time. Best practices for painting, remember we're always going to go, when we're painting with our sponge, we're always going to go from the inside out, and around the edges or smaller pieces you want to use that dab 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 motion for a nice flat finish. Little bit of paint goes a long way, so if you can tell when I dab this paint up here, I don't just get like globs of paint on my wedge. It's going to be I'm going to dab off the extra so that there's not a ton of paint on my wedge, and that's going to keep my edges nice and clean. And you can use the inside of your box, that's what I recommend, because you're going to toss it anyway, so why not just use it as sort of your painting surface. I'm using a piece of just wax paper. It protects my surface and produces less waste, so that's what I choose to use. But I think using your box as a workspace is a great use of something that's otherwise going to get tossed out and recycled anyway. One thing that I like to remind you of is that we send you chalk paint or acrylic paint. Both are very fast drying, so you can work through your pieces really quickly. You don't have to wait for dry time, and just makes this go by really quick. It also makes for great blending. So if you ever want to try an ombre, which we don't have anything in this set that's ombre, but the last 2 sets that we've sent have had some pieces that look really great with an ombre finish. So if you want to go back and review those videos, you certainly can. If you ever wanted to just diversify your paint collection so that you had more colors than just what we send, and your sort of creativity isn't limited, I suggest at Walmart or any hobby store, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, whatever you have close to you, any of those little bottles of acrylic paint, either Craft Smart or Apple Barrel is the one that you can get at Walmart. So at Walmart, they're 50 cents for a little, like 2-ounce jar, maybe 4-ounce. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're just the, normal size little jars. They're 50 cents. You can really diversify your paint collection that way, and they work great. They're great coverage, huge variety of colors, and very inexpensive. So if you ever wanted to go off script, that's an easy recommendation for you. Let's see. Yep, this is all. Like these are not white. Okay, almost done with our white here. I'll be able to move on to something a little bit more exciting. Now your flowers, you really want to make sure these score lines are going to show up after you're done painting, so make sure that you really dab off your brush. If you want to do a second coat of white, see how those score lines still show. If you use too much paint, you're going to get your paint into those score lines and you're not going to be able to see them. So really be careful with how much paint you use on stuff where you want the score lines to show through. If you like mash down real hard, you're gonna get paint down into those grooves and not have those crisp, clean lines. You can, if that were to happen and you wanted to clean them up a bit, you can certainly get like any sharp tip, like a push pin or something, and just run it through those lines and clean them out. But to avoid having to go through that extra work, just a little bit of paint and dab fast and light. Now these score lines are not as important because this is a dimensional piece. So when we paint this part, all these are here for is to help guide you on where each of these wedges go. So these score lines are not as important. So as you're painting, if you get paint down into those score lines, no worries, just keep on going. I would mention for your white paint, if you want to go back at the end and add some accents, which I'll be doing on a lot of these pieces, definitely be sure to keep your white, a little bit of white left in your pouch, and just kind of prop it upright in the corner of your box or something while you're painting so that you have it to go back to at the end. I'd hate for you to dump it all out and it dry out and not have anything to add some accent pieces at the end of the project. So just one thing to keep in mind. I love this little lemonade stand. It's so cute. This lemonade stand would be really cute with wet wipe method where it just kind of looks like a whitewash. So if you want more of the wood pattern to show through on this, just go ahead and paint it white and then come back over it with a wet wipe, or instead of dipping your wedge into the paint, take a wet wipe, like a baby wipe, or even just a rag with a dampened rag, and dip that directly into your paint and then paint it, and you're gonna get like a real translucent whitewash type finish on your piece. And I think that would look really, really cute with this set. Kind of a rustic feel. Okay, so that completes our white. I'm going to move on to the lighter pink pieces. And again, when you use your wedges, I like to use this flat end for most pieces, but since I don't have very much that's getting this color with a wedge, I'm going to use this flat edge right here. This color is from Magnolia Homes, the Joanna Gaines line, and it actually is called Pink Lemonade. So when I was standing in the paint aisle, which I can do for a very long time picking out paint, and I always start with her colors, and I saw that and I just said, well, that's an easy win right there. Didn't spend as long as I typically do making paint selections. That was just written in the stars. I reuse these wedges quite a bit. So if you're wondering why my wedge is already messy, that's why. They are cotton and biodegradable, so don't have any qualms about tossing them. I just know that I can reuse them, and I will, so I save them. All right, this is also, I'm gonna paint this back part pink, and the top part is the dimensional piece that goes on top of this is gonna be the darker pink. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint this background, and actually the straw is gonna be green. Over that in a little bit once I get to green. Okay, and then these also. So I'm going to do you know what? No, I'm going to do these well, I'm going to try it this way. I'm going to do these two center ones with the with this pink. So So for these, just fold back your other pieces and paint it, or you can use both sides of this. So if you wanted to take the pink off and put it on the reverse side and paint them, and leave the other ones on the front and paint them yellow, or the darker pink if you wanted to do pink and you could do pink and white, you could do light pink and dark pink, pink and yellow, which is what I'm gonna do. All of those combinations I think would be super cute. Pink and green, yellow and green, so many combinations. Okay. The other one of these that is painted, that was dark pink, so we'll see what we think about that at the end. Okay, now let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and do yellow, and then I'll move on to the dark pink. So here is, uh-oh. Don't do that. Okay. So here's one of the packets, and just to give you an example of what I mean when I say just barely trim off the end. That's literally all I trim off, and you can see how much of this, even for all of these pieces, how much of this we're going to use. So that was probably more than I would have typically squirted, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut in this. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna make this glass. The top part of this glass is white. So I'm just gonna use my wedge and go right along that edge where where the lemonade starts, and get that white. Okay. I'm running my nail actually through those score lines to clean them out. Okay. And then I'm going to use my paintbrush to cut in the yellow. So you just line up the tip of your brush at the edge of the line and swipe down. You could use your wedge to fill in the rest of this. I would just use your paintbrush to cut in that top part so you get a clean line. But you could also use your wedge. If you've watched any of the previous videos, you know the method to get a clean line with your wedge is just to line up the tip. If you're doing something smaller, you're going to use the smaller end and just line it up and swipe down, all down, just like I did with the paintbrush. So you could do it either way. Also remember with your wedges, if you run out and you need another end, just trim it off. You can trim off that end. You're going to get a nice, clean, fresh piece of your wedge to use for the rest of your project. And you can trim them multiple times. Okay, now I'm going to do the lemon slice real quick, and I'm gonna go back in with white and accent this. And again, you can use your fingernail, or like I said, if you have a sharp edge tool like a thumbtack or something, to clean out score lines if you get too much paint in there. But like I said, I'm going to go in with white and kind of accent this piece in a little bit. So, all right, let's move on to the rest of our yellow. Thinking about all those different color combinations for this little awning makes me want to paint several more of these just for fun. See how they all turn out. Or maybe one of you can paint it a little bit different and send me pictures. I would love that. If it makes you nervous thinking that you're going to get paint on here, just take off the pieces that you've already painted. Like if you were nervous I was going to get yellow onto the pink, just take off those pieces that you've already painted, and you can actually go ahead and put them on your backer, because this isn't, we're going to leave this as is. The only part of it that's going to show is this little section back here. So if you wanted to paint that, you could, but I'm going to leave it just as wood. Now, again, these pieces with these small holes, you want to make sure you don't have too much paint on your wedge. Just use that dab, dab, dab. Because if you have too much paint, you're going to get it inside of those wedges and you're not going to have nice, clean lines. So if you can tell, I'm just doing real quick, even pressure to get coverage on all of these, and it would be better to go around and do a second coat. Like I said, this dries really fast, so you can immediately go back all the way around for a second coat if you want additional coverage. It's very fast, so always, if you want a richer color or more coverage, whatever, opt for a second coat, not a heavier one coat pass. You're gonna like your results much better that way. Okay, for our lemons, right before my yellow dries on my brush, I'm gonna go ahead and paint this little guy. So for this, again, I'm gonna dab over this in white. Again, try to use that even pressure, so you don't get any paint into those score lines and you get those nice clean edges. And same thing with your paintbrush. Just cut in. I have not very much paint at all on my paintbrush. It's kind of gonna blend since I'm doing this right after I did the white. It's kind of going to help the paint spread, the yellow paint spread, even though I don't have a whole lot on my brush. And that's going to help you get those clean lines. Okay, that might be the most challenging part of the whole thing, and I did get a little bit too much paint inside of that one little ice cube, and I just stuck this in there and kind of evened it out, and we're good to go. Hopefully I am doing this in the camera where you guys can see. I can't ever see what I'm doing while I'm filming, so hopefully I've been where you guys can see the whole time. I apologize if not. I'm gonna add a real subtle accent to this. Just a brush of white at the top of these, like a little, like white, like light reflecting off of them. It's a very small detail, but I think those little details make all the difference. So little things like that you can do will help you really, when it all comes together at the end, you'll appreciate those little things you took a few extra seconds to do. All right, so to finish out our yellow, okay, so these lemons, I'll go ahead and do a full one. Up to you if you want these score lines to show or not. I'm gonna come back in with white and accent those down there, and the flowers that we painted earlier are gonna go right over this. So don't worry about staying outside of that flower line, because you're gonna go right over it. And then when I say I'm gonna accent these later, so I'm gonna dip my, just in case you wanna go ahead or fast forward, I'm gonna dip my brush into, the tip of my brush into there, and then make my circles that way. Typically I would not do this holding it up in the air, but I'm trying to make sure you guys can see. The smaller ones, you just need to do a quick dab. The larger ones, you can go a sideways dab to get it a little bit bigger. The really big ones, I was moving in a circle, got a little bit carried away with this one. It's hard when I'm holding it up in the air, but it's okay. Okay, there's that. And then we're gonna paint the top green, but what I was mentioning before, I'm not gonna set this all the way on, but you're gonna cover up, make sure you line that up right, but you're gonna cover up that yellow where the flower is with the actual flower, the white flower, so don't worry too much about staying inside of the lines up there. Okay, so that's done. You certainly don't have to do the white dots in the bottom. You can just use that real light dab, dab, dab and leave the score lines, and it would be just as cute. Totally up to you, how much time you have, how detailed you want to get. It's gonna be cute either way. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through this a little bit faster. so that we can get to the assembly portion, and I can go back and add details later. All right, let's see. I need to let me move on to the green. All right, so green, I'm gonna use my paintbrush for quite a few of my green pieces. So I used it for yellow. You can rinse it out if you want with water. I don't. This is the same green that y'all got in your kit, so. And this is the Apple Barrel Spring Green. So if you go buy greens, go buy paint, like I was mentioning before, don't get that one. Unless you just want more of it. It is a very pretty green. Okay, let me do this first. So I'm just going to start where I want the straw to show and swipe up. You should get a nice clean edge doing it that way. Again, here. And here, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna cut in just like I was showing before from both sides. I'm cutting in, I'm not trying to fill it in. If you get any out of place, a wet rag or a baby wipe is your friend. You can clean up just about any oopsie with a baby wipe or wet rag. So there's that guy. And for your leaves, same thing. You can use a wedge for this. Be a little bit faster. But again, don't worry about the painting the flower. We're gonna assemble that. White flower on top, so. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and assemble one of these to show you when you do your garland. When you do your garland, to keep these in place, you're just going to string it. And tie it. And you can tie it however you like. And then just keep moving down, string it and tie, string it and tie, and that's gonna hold these in place for you. And the string that you guys received is cute and coordinating, so it's a cute little accent piece. Okay, moving on. I want this to be green also. For this piece, you just have to do the edge because we're gonna cover it up, cover up the inside. Getting close, we just have the dark pink to go. getting that white paint over there on all kinds of stuff. Okay. Let's do the dark pink real quick so that we can get to assembling. And we're done. So I'm just going to use the flip side of this pink wedge that I have used before. I have this pouch, but I'm actually gonna save that and just use the squirt bottle. Okay. So each of these pieces is going to go on here, these. Hid them just to show you. And my friend Becky, who painted this kit already, she did really cute little dot accents on all these pieces. I'll do it in just a second to give you an idea, but they turned out super, super cute. Okay, so that's how you assemble these. And like I said, she went through and just did kind of little dots. I thought that turned out really cute, just to give you an idea of what that could look like. Okay. Going here. Oh, and you know what? I painted that green over there. And this is going to cover it up. So I'm going to paint that little tip green again. Okay, and then this piece is going to go like that. Okay. This is your most delicate piece for sure, so if you are going to need super glue, it's going to be on these on this lettering. So be delicate, but don't worry, if something happens, you get a crack, super glue should fix it. If not, obviously just reach out to us. We're happy to send you a new piece, and the rest of your kit will look super cute until you get your replacement piece. Okay. I dumped out all that pink paint, that dark pink paint, and I literally probably used, I don't know, 3 drops of it. Almost done, guys. Thank you for hanging with me all this time. I always aim for these to be about 30 minutes, but I get to talking and I enjoy the process, and I don't skip things that I probably could for purposes of demonstration. But hopefully just seeing every single thing start to finish is helpful. Okay, so I will go back and add accents a little later because I want to go ahead and assemble this in case any of you have questions about how you do it or what it will look like. So just start peeling and sticking according to the score lines on your pieces. This piece, okay. Your cute little lemonade is gonna go in the center of your lemonade stand. So cute. And then each one of these you'll notice that I'm just lightly putting it into place. I try not to press it down until I'm all done in case I need to make any minor adjustments. As you guys may have encountered, this sticky is super sticky, very permanent. So once you press down, and even sometimes without pressing down, it is very difficult to get it to come back up. So there's your lemonade stand. Okay, let's do this one really quick. Very simple. Okay, and then tie this back on however you would like. this one, do your large part first, so that you are able to line it up correctly. Your lemons, the word lemon should obviously be pretty centered at the bottom. Okay. This one's a little bit easier because the heart is the dot to your eye. It's a little bit off center, so okay. There's that. Peel the backing off. It's going to go on here. Just use that score line to help you line it up. Just like that. And then I think that's about it for assembly. Your big, didn't get that green, but I'll do that. Your big flower goes on your larger lemon. And then obviously this goes on here. Your garland will go lemon slice, lemon slice, lemon slice. And that's it. If you have any questions, drop comments and look for pictures on our social media of what this all looks like when it's arranged. Thanks.